Hi everyone, welcome back to my corner. Now I received a lot of comments on my 8 and 9-month-old videos on my baby Ducky about how she was eating vegetables by herself. So I thought let's talk about that today. How did we reach that point? Now WHO recommends that solids are started for babies above the age of 6 months, but that's not what we could do for Ducky. She was feeding 18 to 20 times a day from me, and we tried formula, which didn't work out. So after consulting our pediatrician, we said, okay, it is time to start solids. So our journey started when she was 4.5 months old. And like a lot of parents, we said, let's try it with Cerelac, because that's what both my husband and I had grown up on. So the first spoon of Cerelac went into her mouth and she yelled and screamed. She did not like it at all. So we put a little bit on her finger and gave it to her, thinking that that may be better. And we had the same result. So we said, maybe it requires a little persistence. So we continued for 3 days, 1 meal a day. Maybe 2 spoons of Cerelac would go in with 10 minutes of screaming. And what I did was to make sure that I was not on the scene, that it was my mother who was giving Ducky Cerelac, purely for the fact that Ducky associated me with being her food supply machine, which was milk. And if I was there, then she was very sure that she was going to get milk. So, she could scream until she got milk. So, therefore, I was not on the scene at all. Just at that point when we were like, oh God, no, what do we do? We've got another meal to look forward to. What can we try? Banana. We said, let's do that. Okay, so we mashed up banana with a little bit of milk. And turns out that my little Ducky is like a minion. She loved banana. She gobbled it up. She had about a quarter banana that day. And there were celebrations across the house because there was no more screaming. There was no more fighting with her to eat. And so we realized, maybe going the natural food way is what she needs, not processed food. Maybe she was making the distinction so early. So we started off with banana. So we continued giving her mashed banana for a week, and in the second week we introduced steamed mashed apple. So she would have 1 meal a day with mashed banana and 1 meal a day with steamed mashed apple. Now we took it this slow because we were introducing solids to her very early and we didn't want to rush the process. So spoons seemed a little intrusive to us. So what we started doing was putting the little bit of mash on our fingers and then feeding it to her. And she seemed to accept that a lot better than when we would put it onto a spoon and feed it to her. So we did that for about 3 weeks. And in the 4th week, she was, accepting solid foods enough that when we gave her food on a spoon, she took it. So what we learned here was that patience was the key. If it doesn't work in the first time, give it a break, don't keep trying it continuously, get back to it later. So by week 4 of starting solids, she was very happy to eat with a spoon. And now we chose a silicone spoon because I was really scared of her eating on a steel spoon and sort of, us feeding it to her and her jerking her head up and down while eating it. And if it hits her palate, then she's in a world of pain. So I said, no, I don't want a steel spoon. We looked around, found fantastic silicone spoons around, and that's what we started feeding her with. And till date, it's one of her most favorite spoons. So here is a list of the new foods of when we introduced Ducky to. And the reason I have put it up is because there was a lot of research that went into it. And we also had a lot of guidance given by our elders. So just wanted to put it all there together for you to use. Now, once we introduced veggies to Ducky, we would have one fruit meal in the morning and we would have a vegetable meal in the afternoon. For the first 2 months, we pureed everything. In a hand blender, we just took it in and we pureed it until it was nice and fine. There were no bits because we didn't want to have any choking hazards. So in that first phase, when we're still in the process of introducing Ducky to various foods, this is what we did regarding our meal seating arrangements. We try and put a bib onto her on most days, but if she made a noise, we would just pull it off. We also would seat her into her high chair or the baby chair, and if she was making a little bit of fuss, I would just pull her out. That's it. There's no problem about it. She would sit on me or she would sit on the floor. She would wear her bib or she would not, and we would continue the meal. The whole idea was to get her comfortable with eating solid foods and not to make her feel like, oh, I hate this process. They're making me do things that I'm not comfortable with. I'm being forced. We didn't want her to have these feelings associated with eating. So just make her comfortable. Of course, it becomes messy, and we have more of a mess to clean up. Most days I had a lot of food on myself and I'd be scrubbing my clothes off it, and we'll be cleaning the floor. But I think it's been totally worth it to see how Ducky loves her food now. So I think we just need to make those adjustments initially. As Ducky's teething progressed and she started wanting to bite on cucumber and carrot to ease the gum pain, we gave it to her. And really nerve-wracking for me because I was worried she would bite off a piece and then choke on it. So while she did end up biting off a few pieces of cucumber, we were able to pull it out of her mouth, and no choking happened. And I'm really thankful that period went off well. Once rice was introduced, we stopped pureeing things with a hand blender and just started, finely mashing it in our hands. And that sort of gave us, or at least gave me, the courage to say, let's move on to the next part of this journey. We went really slow at this point, but I think it was well worth it. So thank you for watching this bit. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about how our journey continues.